It could be, it could be whatever it is. You want to be able to identify it, but don't let your identity be shaken. Okay. And don't be impressed by so many things. That impression of it's just too much, because what it does is when you're impressed by people all the time, you can't see the greatness in you. You can't. If you're, wow, this person, wow, that, wow, you. What about the great things you do? What about the good things in you? Hello. Hi, Queens. How's it going? How's everything? I told you we're going to keep going, right? As long as God allows us. How are you doing? How is your day going? How are you feeling? As I'm recording this, it is Sunday, May 3rd, 2026. And it's around like close to 1:30, so early afternoon. And things are good, right? Eve, things are going good. And there are some struggles. In life, we got some things going on, but regardless, God got us, and everything's going to work out. I just want you to know that the sun will shine. Okay, it will shine. So I know there are rainy days, there are storms. I know I'm feeling it myself, but we're gonna get through it. We're definitely gonna get through it, and this podcast helps us do it, right? Yeah. All right, so let's jump into it. This episode is episode 31, y'all, 31. Episode 31. And in this episode, it's titled Toxic Work Environment. Now, the reason why I titled this and the reason why I was like, you know what, I have to speak about this. And I don't usually talk about a lot of trending topics, but maybe I should. It's not that I'm opposed to it. I don't want you to think like, oh, she's opposed to not talking about trending things. I just don't want to do things just because they're trending. I want to do what matters. And sometimes things that are trending doesn't mean that they're important. So I don't ever want to sway on what's popular because it's trending. I want to be about what's important, what's going to move the needle, things that are going to wake us up for positive change to have the life that we truly deserve. So I'm never going to be about popularity. I don't care about that. I have never cared about that. What I care about is what is right. What I care about is you have an amazing life, Queen, and you going after it. Okay. So toxic work environment. So it's been trending for about 2 weeks. What is it? Emily Green. People are saying Emily Greed. I know why. Makes sense from the things that she said. She's on this book tour. If you're not familiar with her, she is the partner with the Kardashians and their Skims line, and she has other businesses and things like that. Yada yada yada. And I don't want to weigh on her because this is not about her, but it is about what she said and what I've seen and experienced in the work environment from a woman's standpoint, our perspective, right? So she's on this book tour and she went on the lines to say that women, you need to get away from, I'm paraphrasing, but you need to get out of your stay-at-home jobs and get in office. And if you want to move up, you need to be in proximity to those that could basically get you into your higher position, to get you to, if you want to be an executive or a VP or senior, whatever those corporate roles are, you need to get out of your remote jobs, your stay-at-home jobs, and get back into the office. Now, a lot of women felt that she was directing this towards Black women. And what I will say is, I support work ethic. I support us as women having what we want, going for your dreams. You know that Powerfully Her is about you can do it. You can absolutely do it. You deserve to have an amazing life. You know that what I'm about. You know that. I support that 100%. However, it is not, I do not agree with just become, that's for instance, someone that is not a parent giving parenting advice. If you've never done it, if you've never been in the shoes, you can't give advice on something you've never experienced. Just like being a driver. If you've never driven a car before, you can't give experience to experienced drivers on how to drive because you've never driven before. So when your experience is not that, or if your experience is so far removed, like that was your experience eons ago, ages ago, like I'm talking a long time ago, and now you're in a place where a privilege, and you're speaking in a way from your ivory tower, your nose up in the air, what people need to do is cold, very cold. Now, the stats are that I believe is over 400,000 Black women lost their jobs in corporate America. So to sit up there and tell Black women that they need to get outside of, leave their homes, they're to her, you're just being comfortable staying home. Get out of your stay-at-home jobs and get back in the office if you want to move up in corporate America. Now, what about the over 400,000 Black women that were in office? What about them? They were in the office. They don't have stay-at-home jobs. They're in the office. So what are you saying to those women? And first of all, who cares what you're saying? Let's just do that. Who cares what you are saying? And this is what I want us to remember, queens. Don't give someone the power over you. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what race they are. I don't care who they know. I don't care about any of that. God doesn't care about any of that. No one is better than anyone. No one. So this is why I'm talking about it, is because she is being arrogant, flat out. She's being cold. You're being very cold. Yes, she had a rough upbringing, but now she's not in that place. And you're speaking in a way as if there are not other women or the people that are struggling. You're 400, get out of office. Excuse me. Everyone doesn't have the luxury and the privilege to have 10 nannies like you do. You're not even home, and that's your business. I'm not even coming down on how you live your life. What I don't like is how you're telling other women and other Black women in particular, because that's who you're talking to. That's who I feel she's talking to. Oh, you need to get out of your stay-at-home jobs. Excuse me, who are you? Who are you? This is one of the ways, queen, when I say reclaim your power, when I say reclaim it, reclaim it. Don't allow someone to tell your story or tell you your narrative, tell you how your life's supposed to be. Oh, you need to be back in the office. Excuse me, so who made you boss? And when I mean boss, I mean creator. That's what I mean. I'm saying boss as in the creator. Did God step aside and said, now I'll appoint you as the one in charge of everything all the time? No, he won't ever do that. That won't ever happen. So get off of your high horse. And this goes to anybody. I don't care if you're a woman or a man. I don't care who it is. You don't have the right to tell somebody how they need to live their lives, especially if that's not your story. It's so sickening. And it makes me sick to my stomach to hear women, especially women, talk to other women as if they're nothing and what they need to do. They need to do, excuse me, as if the women at home are not trying. They're doing their best. And who says that just because you're in the office, you work harder than someone that's at home with a stay-at-home job? Let's talk about that. Oh, what, because you think you in the office all day, you work hard? No, you don't. And the people at home, oh, they're home. Being a parent alone, you can just have one child. That's enough. That's enough. So if you have a stay-at-home job and you're a parent, I take my hat off to you. Let me give you flowers because that is difficult. But according to her, oh, you just need to get back in the office. Never mind the 400,000 Black women that lost their jobs. Are you providing jobs for them? It's just like the arrogance. And this is what happens is when you are so far removed from how people feel and what they're going through. It's just because well, I'm in a better position now because all they need to do is this. I remember another time, a couple of years ago, Kim Kardashian, it's not a surprise. They're just alike. She told women, you need to get out the work, get off your behind and work. Like you, listen, don't look down on anybody. I don't like it. You're telling other women to go out there and work as if they're not working, as if we're not working. And this is what I mean is the temperament, toxic work environment from when sometimes women get in leadership, they start to behave like white men. Bad white men. I'm not saying the bad ones. I'm not saying all white men are bad. What I am saying, the ones that are bad, that's what happens. You start to mimic. If you're not careful, if we're not careful of our actions and how we move, you start to become the thing that you claim you don't like. You will become that because you're in that environment and you're not careful of who you are. You don't have that identity of who you are. Because you could be in corporate and love who you are and not get sucked into a toxic work environment. And it doesn't have to be corporate. Any job, this is what I'm saying, any job. But when I mean corporate is usually when some women get in corporate, that masculine energy comes out and they're mean to other women. Or maybe not just masculine energy, just envy and jealousy and not wanting other women to thrive and do better than them. What is that? What is that? And that I don't like. And so going back to the Emily Green, going back with her. So because you behave like a toxic white man in corporate, so if one of your employees, I'm sure she has a big team, if they need to go home because their children are having something, do you give them a hard time about it? Because they need to be in the office. They need to be here. They need to, just stop. Just stop. At the end of the day, y'all, we're all people. We need each other. We just need to be good to each other. If you strip down all the money and the positions and all the stuff that God doesn't care about, at your core, who are you? That's it. At your core, who are you as a person? Take everything away. Strip it down. Who are you? Are you there for other people? Do you support other people? Do you support other women and girls? Are you there for them? Not the way you think you do. Drop the arrogance. Drop the ego. Are you there for them? And that's a very important thing to be clear about. And this is why the next episode is going to be talking about having that reflection, but as well connection, because we need to connect the dots and the things that we need to work on in our lives. And this is why I made it a point to shout out all the positive women leaders that I've had, because I've only had positive women leaders that were the best, that showed me. And I told you my best friend Felicia in particular, showing you the way that you write your own story. Just because those toxic women, they want to behave like that, you don't have to be that. You could be how God wants you to be, which means you're being good to other people. That's it. That's it. Be good to them. Because it's very, very important. It's extremely important to be good to people. And how dare her or any other toxic woman, because that's toxic, to tell another woman that she needs to get back to the office. Excuse me? You don't know her story. You don't know her life, and you're not her. Don't tell her how to be. And to tell her, well, if you would just get there. And girl, please. Meanwhile, you have your husband who's a multimillionaire pouring into your business. That's the story you don't tell. Or you're not telling the story how dark-skinned Black women, the oppression they have to deal with being in the workplace, especially corporate, the racism. You're light-skinned Black. I don't even know if you identify as Black. But yet you're going to tell them what they need to do. The arrogance, cannot stand it. So this is why, Queens, I'm telling you, this is why this podcast is about reviving you, to love you the way God made you and love you. And don't give people your power, whether it be at your job, whether it be in your personal life, whether it be spiritually. You give it all to God. Don't allow other people to take your power. And you be how you are everywhere you are. When I was in my previous field, I was the same way as I am now. I'm me. I love who I am, and you are you, and I love you. I love you how you are. I care about you. So don't allow anyone to tell you how things are supposed to be at all. So why do these things happen? How do we get to the toxic work environment? And in particular, toxic women in those environments, because this is powerfully her. Or coming up against men that are toxic, maybe sexual harassment, things like that. How do we get here? How does that happen? Well, let's think about it. Back in the day, especially when you don't have, there's a lot of fear and imposter syndrome and someone feeling like they have their employment because another person. Like, I have my job because my boss. I have this job because of this. I have to prove to them I'm worthy. And that's an identity problem. That's an identity crisis. Because if you believe that your employment is based upon someone else higher than you, which is all a myth, complete lie, you will always be giving your power away. So the first thing is identity crisis. If you walk into an environment believing that everyone there is better than me, my leadership is better than me, I'm so grateful to be here, but they're better than me, you will struggle in that place. You always struggle because you're forgetting who the source is. The source is not ever your boss, ever. The source is not even someone that hooked you up maybe from networking. They're not even the source. Yeah, they hooked you up. They're not the source. The source is the Most High, 100%. And when we have our priorities in order and we see things clearly, you are able to move with the confidence and clarity of knowing no one's better than me, because they're not. So what? This person knows this about this and that. So, well, they just know so much and about this topic, but they know because God allowed them to know. But at the same time, and no one knows everything. You can't know everything. There's no way you can know everything. So therefore, it's very important. It's extremely important for you to have your identity intact wherever you go, because you won't be shaken when you go to different environments. You won't be shaken because no matter what room you're in, no matter what building you're in, whatever atmosphere you're in, you know who you are and you cannot be shaken. And you're not threatened by other people just because they have a whole bunch of money and they know this person and they have this title. Crap, nonsense, all nonsense. So the core, the number one is identity. Know your identity, queen. And what is your identity? You are wonderfully made. You're uniquely made. You're powerfully her. You were strong, intelligent, beautiful, funny, and more. You deserve to have an incredible life, and you're more than enough. That's who you are, and that's what you walk in. Remember, belief, knowing, being. Remember that? That's identity work. Identity work is so important. So therefore, your job ain't gonna get you. It's not gonna get you. And then you don't let it be the end all be all, because truth be told, again, everything I say is to empower you to who you are, right? I want you to live your life as long as you're not hurting anybody based on what works best for you. Yes? But at the same time, we have to not forget who we are and why we are here. Okay? And it breaks my heart when I see someone not only not know who they are, but they succumb to the negativity and the noise of others. And you know I'm not having that. Okay. So this is why we're going deep. And I did say part about Powerfully Her is we're going to have some topics that are extremely heavy, very difficult to have. And how are we going to grow if we don't address it? How are we going to get better if we don't talk about it? And I won't talk about it. Because being a woman in leadership as long as I have been, I know what leadership looks like. I know how it's supposed to be. And it doesn't have to necessarily be, again, it doesn't have to be a job title. You're a leader for your life, queen. Hello, you a queen. Hello, let's go. Let's lift you up. Chin up. Remember the crown. Remember that. We got this up here. Yes? So you're not shaken by anyone. It's hard to be impressed. That's another thing. You don't want to be easily impressed by people. Wow, they have that. Wow, they have a lot of money. Wow, they drive this. Wow, they know that person. Wow, they went there. Wow, nothing. Don't be impressed by people that are mean. Stop being so impressed by people. Be impressed by God and want to impress God. Be in awe, not even be impressed by God. Let me rephrase that. You want to be in awe of God and you want God to be impressed with you. You want God to be proud of you, but you want to be in awe of everything God has. So this is why giving credit to people that are not deserving of what they have, because they feel that they're the ones. When I mean deserving is when anyone takes credit for something when God is the one that gave it to them. Who are you? That's what I'm saying, not deserving to have, because you don't tell people how things are supposed to be. That arrogance, you need to do this and that. Excuse me, God is the one that gave you what you have. If it comes down to, think about it. If this is the thing about hard work, where people are like, it's because they worked hard. Really? How many people do you know that work hard that are not multimillionaires? Money doesn't quantify hard work. It doesn't. And most wealthy people do not work hard. They don't. No shade, but that's a fact. They delegate. I'm not mad, but let's not confuse it, because what happens is that's them being impressed again. You're impressed by they had all this money, and look, they must have did this and that. They must have worked really hard. That's not true. That is not true at all. But it's understanding and knowing the truth and not being shaken and knowing your identity. So that, I would say, is the number one when it comes to being in a toxic environment, whether it be at work, personally, professional, anything. That's usually how that goes. And that's something that we have to identify, and we have to address. We have to be aware of it. We have to acknowledge it, and we got to take action on it and be clear about it. I'm like, why do I feel that this person's better than me? Why do I feel that she's better than me? Why do I feel? Ask yourself that. Be real with you, because then you could do the work. You're like, maybe it's because, she's been here 2 years longer than me and she has a job and I don't, things like that. It could be, it could be whatever it is. You want to be able to identify it, but don't let your identity be shaken. Okay. And don't be impressed by so many things. That impression of it's just too much, because what it does is when you're impressed by people all the time, you can't see the greatness in you. You can't. If you're, wow, this person, wow, that, wow, you. What about the great things you do? What about the good things in you? What about saying, God, thank you for allowing me to wake up, and God, for me to hopefully bring my dreams to fruition? What about that? Thank you, God, for putting this thought in my head to actually want to do something with my life finally. Live in my purpose. Thank you. Instead of praising humanity. I'm not saying we shouldn't be grateful. I'm not saying that. But once you know it's the Most High that gets it, who's the one that really deserves your praise, when it comes to human beings, you have no problem saying thank you, but you're not shaken. You're not out of alignment. You're not misaligned as far as who truly deserves the credit. Yeah. I remember at my other field when I was working, and my leadership, he had said to me, he needed me to do something. He was a laid back guy, and he respected that I am how I am. How my parents raised me. My sisters were the same way. My little sisters were the same way. We warriors. We're not out here playing. Okay. And I said it before. If you see any of us, you could tell we're related because we move the same. And he asked me to do something, and I disagreed. So I told him no, and I hung up the phone. Now, I don't think I should have hung up the phone, but I should have stayed firm on what I believed. So I thought I was going to be written up. I was like, dang, I think he might write me up this time. And I said this time, because I usually was just like, no, we like very like I put my foot on the ground all the time and firm. And he was just like, he was just a laid back dude. So he thought it was hilarious. He didn't care. But I also handled my business when it came to work. So it wasn't something where it's just like, I have this big voice, but I'm lazy. No, I backed it up. I had a great team. Morale was great. Just love it. It was a lovely time. So, he knew what I was coming. I was coming with that thunder. So that was hilarious. But there was another time, another one of my leaders, you could see from my desk was by this window. So I would love when people would come, because I don't want nobody coming up on me. You know how we are. Don't be coming up on me. And I saw one of my other leaders come up, and I could see his reflection in the mirror, and I turned around. I'm like, hey, because I'm going to meet you before you say something to me. I want to know you coming. I don't care who it is. And I turned around, and I forget what question he asked me, and I disagreed, and I shut it down. I said no. And so my other leader was like, the one I hung up on like maybe weeks or months before, and he was just like, how did it go with Nadira? Did you hit a brick wall? And they knew, like, if you come to me sideways, this is not going to go well. Like, no, you can't. This is not going to work. And the point I'm saying is, but first of all, let's back up. Remember I said identity, right? Credit. Who do I have to thank for allowing me to be able to be me and have my voice, and to have leaders that respect us for being who we are? God. I have to thank him, because I could have been the opposite, where I had leaders where you couldn't be yourself, and then I wouldn't be there anymore, because if I can't be me, this is it. But I have to thank God for that. So this is why when I mean identity, it's important, because I knew who I am. I knew who I was, and I still do. And I know who you are. So this is what's very important, queens. Know who you are, identity. So you're not shaken. You're not shaken. And you're not threatening. So when it comes to money, listen, I know we all need money. We do. I don't want to be like, listen, just quit, girl, quit, be out. No, have a plan. Let's have a plan. Don't be rash unless it's something that is so incredibly terrible that you have to make a rash decision. I understand. I support that. But let's just work on having a backup plan. You know, we want to have our ducks in a row before we make really immediate action, right? But again, I got to thank God for that. But this is why it's important for us to have the identity work and support each other. Some of the women, not a lot, but the women that are in leadership, there's a lot of insecurity, jealousy, just mean. That's all I can say is mean. And for what? I've had other leaders. There's another one in particular. Actually two I could think of. Drove me up the wall. And I was just like, I told my dad, I was like, Dad, he's like, Nadira, you do what you got to do. See, that's what I come from. Like just rude. Another one, she went talk to people, rude, had her hands in the pocket, but you're going to tell other people how to speak, be a leader when you don't even say hello to anyone. Am I missing something? And this is how I would speak. And there was another one I could think of, the most recent one. Oh, she was awful. They were all awful. But I've actually had more positive than the negative. This is what I have to highlight, because sometimes we can focus on the negative, and I don't want to focus on the negative. I want to focus on the positive. So this is how we get here when it comes to the work environment. Why it happens is because we don't have our identity in check. We are not firm on who we are. It also happens because you have insecure women that are threatened by other women and feeling that I can't mentor her or help her because she's taken away from me. Also, the environment itself is cultivated on competition and not team, where it's just like we have to be at each other's throats as opposed to supporting each other and uplifting one another. So if that's the business structure, to be competitive with each other, it's all downhill from now. It's all downhill from there, because it's not being supportive and loving. So those are the three reasons why it happens. And then, and also privilege. When you have someone coming in because nepotism, because they know someone, or they have a lot of money, that's another thing. And racism. We got to talk about that too. Racism is a big one. Huge racism. So all of these things are contributing factors to work environment for anyone, but especially women. And we have to be more kind and loving to one another and not allow the Emily Reeds or the Kardashians or anyone else with their nose up in the air telling women, working women that are trying, how they should live their lives. Whether you're a mother or not, you're still a good woman and you're doing your best, and no one has the audacity, has a right to tell you how you need to live your life and why your life is not where it is. Like, well, your life is this way because this and that. Oh my God. When you ask a lot of people, when you ask a lot of those millionaires and billionaires, their children cannot stand them. Cannot stand them. Majority of them. Their kids don't even like them. They look at their nannies and their butlers as their parents more than their own parents. So I'm going to take advice from a woman who I don't know, and I don't wish that on her. But what I'm saying is, I'm sure it's imbalanced. And I know balance could be difficult, but at the same time, I'm not listening to that. I'm going to do what God wants me to do. But don't sit here telling other women, especially women of color, what they need to do. Don't. And this whole thing of women, there was another writer, I forget her name, but she was telling women the same thing. And it backfired because she was like, what I was saying was wrong. You're telling women to chase the corporate ladder. If that's what you want, fine. But let's keep in mind, it is going to be difficult if you want to be a mother. And to make it seem like that's not a real thing is cruel. It's just cruel. If you don't want to be with your kids and you rather work all day, that's your business. That's you. I don't recommend that, but that's your business. If you want your life to revolve around your job or your business, again, that's your business. But don't tell other people how to live their life, period. So what do we do to combat toxic work environment? Number one, identity work. Know who you are, queens. Know who you are. Number two, know your audience. Not everyone is your friend. A lot of people like to, because again, sometimes we could be at work more than we're at home because it's designed that way. for us to be work, work, work. Remember? Work, work, work. Debt, debt, debt. And sometimes you'll build a strong bond with your coworkers, and that's fine. But know your audience. Know who you're surrounding yourself with. Number 3, celebrate. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate other women's wins or anyone else's. Celebrate, right? Let's be positive. Number 4, speak up. Speak up. Speak up and always do the right thing. And I don't want you to jeopardize your job. I don't. But if you're in a situation that is not healthy, we have to take action. You got to do something about it and do things smart. And if your goal is to be out, let's get our ducks in a row before anything happens. Okay? And number 5, if major things are happening, definitely take action. I don't want you to wait. Like discrimination, racism, harassment, sexual harassment, any of those things, take action. And then also other women could do that to other women when it comes to harassment, sexual harassment too. That's another thing. But when you have your identity in check, make sure that you are doing what you need to do. And also know that HR is not your friend. HR is to protect the business. Know that. So like, oh, I told HR, they're there to protect the business. Queens, they are not there to protect you. They're trying to make sure that the business is covered. That's why. So get an outside source, but don't think that HR is your friend, because they are not. They're not. So this is why, well, most HR, I will say, most HR is not your friend. I'm not saying they're not good HRs, but for the most of them are not there to support you. There are some good ones, but for the most that I've seen, they are not. But I have not seen everything, so God knows everything. But for what I've seen, most. But again, you're a very intelligent woman. You're a queen. Be smart about all your actions, okay? And get outside help if that's what you need. Outside counseling and outside legal advice, whatever it is. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but to make sure you make the right decision. And you want to just think back to, why am I here? Make sure, and gratitude. That's another thing I was going to say, gratitude. Have the gratitude there. Be grateful. Be grateful. God is the one, remember, having an order. God is the one that gave me this job. God is the one that's providing for me. God is the one. God is the one. God is the one. And God is the one that made me a queen. Okay? So look, you see powerfully her. See, queens, you see how I care about you. I want what's best. But we got to stop giving our pen away. Remember, stop giving our keys away, which means we're giving our power away to other people to tell us how things are supposed to be. We're not doing that. No. It's 2026. We're not doing it. Okay? Even if it's like family members. Oh, I'll hook you up with this job, this and that. Slow down. Do your best. Be your best, but you don't have to be indebted to anyone. Be grateful, but don't be indebted. Identity. Okay? Very important. And stop listening to toxic women. Stop being oppressed. But it's just me. Honestly, I love being a mom. I'm oppressed by, women that are kind to other women. Because there's some women that are moms and they're not nice people. That's another thing. Not all moms are nice people. That's another fact. But my point is that I'm impressed by generosity and kindness. Women and just anyone that just wants to make the world a better place. That's what I'm impressed by. I'm not impressed by material things and who you know and what you drive and the color of your skin and your gender. I'm not impressed by that. Why want to be impressed by things that you have no control over? You have no control over that. Oh, they have this because they work hard. Come on. If that was the case, work hard, everybody would be a millionaire. Okay? Really? So stop. You think the truck drivers, they're not working hard? Well, I mean, just stop. Just having so many opinions about people's lives. I cannot stand it. This is why you got to get your pen back. Know who you are. Okay, queens? And I want you to tell me how you feel about this episode. It's really, you can tell it's important to me, work environment, everything. And it's important. I want what's best for you, queens. All right? Good episode, right? We going deep. We diving deep. We're diving deep. So like always, I want you to know that you are powerfully heard. You are much more powerful than you know. You come from greatness, so greatness lives in you. And if we're ever forward, never backwards. We're moving forward. We're not moving backwards. We're not looking in the rearview mirror like, oh God, no, we're moving forward. Because it's moving forward is how we can see clearly. and we can get to finally where God wants us to be. Okay? All right. See you in the next episode. God willing, episode 32. All right. Bye.